Hello, everyone. Welcome to another week of Odyssey Season 1 2024. Again, Claire and I are bringing you two games here today, and we're going to start off with the first one, which is Beans versus Ape. This is the second place team going up against the last place team. Beans is yet to get a win. We'll see if they can do that today and play spoiler, perhaps, for the seeding into playoffs as we are approaching that playoff time. Only about 2 weeks of regular season games left to go. And we'll see if they can muster up some strength and go out with a bang at the very least and get a win on the board for themselves. So what do you think, Claire? Do you think, I'll talk about substitutions quickly. There is two substitutions, one for both teams, both of them at the ADC role. So maybe they can muster some strength this week, Claire. What do you think?
I think that it is for sure possible, and I think we reinstate this every single week that Beans is, they are 0-6, they haven't won a game yet, but it's still been close in the games that they've played, right? So I don't think it's impossible for them to win a game. Obviously, Ape is a very talented team. We've seen how strong they are, but I do think one of these last 2 weeks, or one of these last two games that they're playing is going to be their first win.
You have faith in Beans. I like that. We'll be not necessarily cheering for them. We'll try and remain unbiased here as the casters, but if they start to gain some momentum, that'll bring the hype a little bit more. So we'll head into the draft now for our first game as we prepare to get into it and see how these teams are going to square off against each other. We have a Gangplank ban. So I believe Gangplank did get through last week. This time around, that's not going to happen. Some Silas bans, Darius bans, strong laners there. The Hui that everyone was talking about last week too. Lots of stuff in the chat. We added that addition to the stream where we could see the chat and read it out. And there was a lot of people in chat who were really against the Hui support that came out last week. So have no fear this time around. It's not going to come out in this game at the very least. And that will be the bans for the first round.
And we're coming in, seeing a Kog'Maw to be picked out immediately from Beans, just immediately focusing towards that bot lane in that substitution role. Just get a comfort pick picked out before anything else comes through, and the Varus to match up against that, which is a pretty interesting, both pretty poke-heavy ADCs, so it's going to be a pretty, passive, more poke-style bot lane from what we're seeing with this Varus Janna and that Kog'Maw. Now just waiting for Beans support to come through, but depends where you want to go here. You don't have to go to the bot lane. Maybe feeling a bit more strong in another lane at the moment.
And we'll see if they want to lock it in right away to avoid having the support role banned in the next phase. And they're going to take Thresh. So this is an aggressive option. You do have great scaling with Kog'Maw, but the Janna pick weakens the 2v2 aspect of Ape's bot lane. Janna isn't as strong in lane, especially not against champions like Thresh, who are more engage-oriented, pick-oriented. So that'll bump up their strength a bit in the bot lane and might accelerate their scaling if they can win out. Nocturne is also going to be picked here for Beans. I'm assuming that's going towards the jungle. So further, we're establishing their identity as a pick comp that Paranoia has long range and catches people out in the side lanes. There's also death sentences that Ape is going to have to watch out for. So the name of the game right now for Beans is some pick potential with a little bit of 5v5 with that late game Kog'Maw.
Yeah, no, but getting into here, we're seeing a Swain be picked out. The bans do come through of this Lee Sin and Volley, so mainly just focusing on that top jungle and that set Vigar. So I'm assuming Beans is assuming that the Swain is going mid, which would make a lot of sense, right? They can flex it top if you really want to, but that's very unlikely to be the case. And we are seeing a Jax, which can be flex, it could be jungle, it could be top lane. So Beans really needs to think about what they would like to do for these next two picks before that last pick comes through, because you can't really counter the Jax if you don't know where it's going to go.
Yeah, it does make it more difficult for your opponent to draft if you do have those flexible picks there. We have an Annie lock-in. Not something you see every day. Did show herself a little bit in pro play a while ago. And now in our competitive games, we're going to see a little bit of Annie. So an unorthodox champion, not something we see very often, but that's likely going to match the Swain, or for what we believe to be the mid lane matchup. And Ornn will be that blind, or actually maybe not a blind pick. Again, we talk about flex picks. We don't really know until we reveal that R5 pick there, but Ornn is going to be the final pick for Beans to round out their comp. They have good scaling, they have decent team fighting, and they have the potential for picks there as well. And we see a Mordekaiser again. This could also go into the jungle. Jax could match up against the Ornn there. We'll have to find out now as we get into game. But both of these teams actually are quite strong in the 5v5. They have decent frontline. They all have good damage, 2 DPS, 80 carries, unless, of course, Ape decides to play that Poke Varus variation, which would weaken their DPS up a little bit. So pay attention in this game, I'm going to say, to the neutral objective fights. Anything that's going to bring everyone together for 5 versus 5 team fights, whether it's the river, the lanes, this is where most of the action is going to go down and where both of these teams are going to find their advantages, because I think that both comps are oriented towards those 5v5s.
Yeah, Beans, I feel like, is struggling up more so front to back, but just trying their best to get a Nocturne engaged and then follow up from the rest of the teammates. But as Ape really does want to play front to back a little bit more, right? You have that Jax, you have that Swain, you have that Mordekaiser, all a lot more comfortable just fighting as a team and running into it and not playing in that solo position. But we're slowly getting into this one. It is going to be the Annie mid, and I don't know the last time I've seen a Swain Annie matchup in mid lane, so my eyes are going to be mainly focused towards that just to see how it plays out.
Yeah, it'll be hard for Annie to burst the Swain, as he's more of a beefy champion when it comes to just resistances and health, mainly health. So it'll be harder for Annie to maybe find any solo kills. So I believe a lot about this mid lane matchup will end up taking place outside of the lane phase. So unless the junglers get involved or someone's way out of position, I think that we're not going to see a whole lot here in the mid lane. I think my eyes are, well, there's no real, like, we see a lot of strong laners, especially in the top side when it comes to Odyssey. This time around, Ornn and Mordekaiser, they're kind of calm laners. And so when we're thinking about where we're going to see the brunt of the action here in this game, I'm not sure. I think it could go anywhere. You have bot lanes that both scale well. You have top laners that aren't the craziest of, they don't do anything massive in the early game. They don't necessarily need to get these crazy leads. So I think it's going to come down to the junglers, and they are the ones that are going to be dictating the pace, and they get to decide where this game goes.
Yeah, no, I would definitely have to agree with you. And this Nocturne is going to be power farming to level 6, I can imagine. Not wanting to go for any early game shenanigans unless something crazy happens, but it's just going to be these two junglers. On the opposite sides of the map right now, maybe this Jax is going to go for a level 2, level 3 gank. I would find that a little bit more believable than the Nocturne to happen, but we haven't seen anything too crazy yet. We didn't see any level 1 action. We were just all in lane, ready to farm, and just play it out for the time being.
Yeah, junglers on opposite sides of the map, like you mentioned, so maybe some trades will happen. It's going to be Mandalorian on the bot side here around level 3-4, and it's going to be Troll up towards top lane. And right now, Zexus is pushing too, so setting himself up for a potential gank. Might want to bounce that wave so that he's put into a position where he can't be punished as easily. And also, we have a few Beans fans in the chat. I can see someone was saying go Beans, so everyone's, or maybe not everyone, can't say everyone, but there is at least a few people that are rooting for a Beans win today. And we'll see if they can get it. Theo again in place for the bot lane for Beans for Anna, and we also have Basil there who is replacing Key. So just remember, substitutions for both bot laners. Just keep that in mind.
And what I'm just thinking about here is this Annie. Is like, where are you going to be getting value? But this is the trades going up top lane. But yeah, this Annie is, I mean, Ape has a very strong, like, a lot of sustain on their team, or at least on the top side of the map, right? Maybe not the Varus, maybe not the Janna. And Annie really is just a burst-heavy champion. If you get your combo off, you can do a lot of damage, but I can't imagine you're trying to get that onto the Swain, Jax, or Mordekaiser, because they'll just, like, tank it all, and then it's kind of wasted. So it's going to be difficult to get onto that Janna and onto that Varus, but I'm sure, Snyderman, it must be like a comfort pick or something. As this gank comes up top,
yeah,
Sex is needing to leave.
And yeah, so that's going to be first blood. Knocked down by the tower, denying Jax's participation in that play. So it ends up just being a solo kill. And I talked about Zex's positioning earlier as that play was formulating. Had that push and needed to bounce that wave and get to a safer position. Wasn't able to do so. Now we see a play in the bot side. Hyatt finds the hook, but Basil has the cleanse to get away from that one. Mandalorian joins the play with the lantern, but they have no more gank set up, and they will just get that one summoner spell away from Basil and a little bit of health. So buying some more comfortability for your Kog'Maw in the lane. Not a bad gank, but could have been more.
I guess on the bright side, Troll not getting any assist on Zex's death, but Zexus is just so confident in being able to fight versus this Mord, wanting to get some more presence in the lane, just try to push this wave out, not wanting it to be under the tower, so makes some sense, but some fights going out bot lane.
Oh, Theo trying to put the damage into Basil to finish this one off. There goes the Ignite. I don't think Basil can get out of this one. Doesn't use the flash, and it's going to be Theo to commit that. So summoner spells are down for the side of Beans, but they do get the kill on the bot side as Troll leaves the jungle unharmed, and I'm not sure how many camps he was able to steal away there, if any at all, but nonetheless, kill in the bot side here for Beans. They even up the score.
Yeah, it's that Nocturne looking to see if anything can be gotten in that top side jungle and take it away from Troll, but the Raptors just spawning as Mandalorian is leaving, so a bit unlucky on the timing there. It was a good read, but just not going your way, and it's pretty quiet, though, around the map at the moment. Zexus is just trying to farm out, not wanting to drop any more lead, and doesn't want to give anything else over to Smoke, so makes a lot of sense. The neutral objectives are coming up, though. Chemtech Dragon is the first one of the bunch.
And we see a pretty comfortable lead in the mid lane right now for Keyzak. There is a wave that did crash under Schneiderman's turret, so we'll pick up a few minions, but you can see there on the scoreboard, there is a CS advantage there for the Swain. Things are getting dangerous on the top side, though. Smoke has found a bunch of damage onto Zexus and almost able to finish it off for the solo kill, and this is pre-6 Mordekaiser as well. Level 6 Ornn versus level 5 Mordekaiser, and still able to win that 1 versus 1. Massive wave crashing in the bot side as well. There's about a 13 CS lead here for Theo, depending on how many of these minions that Basil can grab underneath the tower. Right now, things for Beans, they're looking pretty solid. And I think the last time, Claire, we saw Beans play, they had a rough early game and they almost brought it back towards the mid to late, but it was too late when it came to finding that comeback. So they've kind of patched up their early game so far. Don't want to cast or curse them, I really don't, but this is looking better than it normally does in the early game for them.
Yeah, I definitely think that's exactly the issues that Beans has had quite a bit, is their early game is pretty weak, especially in the laning phase. They're not the greatest, but once you can get out of that and play a more micro or macro game, but it's Zexus, you're just in a rough spot here.
That's going to be it, yeah. Tried to get away with the Searing Charge, but the pullback from Mordekaiser brought him back to his doom, and then into the Death Realm he went, and there's simply no escape as we see more trading in the bot side. Theo looked like maybe he was locked up behind those minions, but they're winning the trades. The range of the Kog'Maw is nice, and the threat of the hook from Thresh is also there. So Basil's forced to retreat, and I talked about how the Janna is more oriented to the late game, weaker in the lane. So this is part of the reason why there's that little level of dominance that Theo and Haya have. But then later on, that Janna can be much more effective in peeling for the Varus, giving those heals, giving those shields, etc. So this is what we're seeing right now. Seeing a lead for Beans, but it's also a kill in the top side for Smoke.
I mean, take a look at Troll just investigating the blue side top jungle. So maybe we could see a dive, but I think Ornn is a bit too fast at clearing these waves at the moment. And I just think they're going to be getting the scuttle. But the fights are taking down under this bot lane turret. Basil is kind of low. Theo also kind of low. Not too sure any of them want to invest too much. None of them being level 6 yet, but I mean extremely close to that marker. Just using the shield to protect that plate from going down. And it's just kind of even, but these fights break out so quickly. Haya trying to see if they can land a hook if possible, but a pretty tough ask.
It's a 1 point, it's about a 1k gold lead on the dot here for Ape. The neutral objective trade happened, so Chemtech Drake went the way of Beans, and the first 3 grubs went the way of Ape. They decided not to scruff in the early game for any objective. There was the change where they decided that they wanted the grubs and the dragon to spawn at 2 different times, so the dragon spawns a minute earlier than the grubs do, but it still ended up in being a trade. And again, those lane advantages that we talked about, the CS lead in the mid lane, and now with the 2 solo kills and the small advantage there for Smoke, that's where the brunt of this gold lead is for Ape. So the goal for them right now, see if they can translate this into more, maybe patch up that deficit they have in the bot side, or just look to weak side them and accelerate their leads elsewhere, maybe in the top lane where Smoke is winning in that 1 versus 1. These are the things to look out for. And their jungler, the Jax, remember, scales pretty nicely, farming well as well. But now level 6 for Nocturne Claire, we might see some paranoia action in the coming minutes.
Yeah, I definitely think that's very strong, but that Swain is just investigating the jungle. I'm not too sure if you can jump on this. Jax is trying to farm this one out, but I don't think you expect that.
Yeah, here they go. They're going to start the fight off in the jungle. So right now it was both Troll and Kizak who decided to start up that invade, but the collapse is in from the bot lane. Theo and Haya are here, and there's going to be 1 kill traded back there from Troll, but Snyderman's going to pick up the kill in response. It'll be a 2-for-1 in favor of Beans, so excellent collapse here on the play in the bot side.
And it's still just X's getting poked out by this Mordekaiser in the top side. Haya just trying to get onto Basil. What's the follow-up, though? Theo is kind of far away. The cleanse goes through and stopping quite a bit, but can that Nocturne get there in time? It doesn't seem that that's going to be the case. And Basil lives another day, needing to burn the summoners, though. And we're seeing at this point the power spike from all of these players to go through. Smoke having that Rylai's for quite some time, so the poke is going to be a little bit stronger and a little bit more irritating to deal with as that slow goes through. And just look where Smoke is on the map, getting so much control as they saw that Nocturne bot side, and a great play out of that just to pick up Grub and maybe anything else that they see.
And they'll probably be able to get 6 grubs with the control they have, like you mentioned, Claire, on the top side. Now Troll has cleared away that red buff, hits the blast cone over the wall, and they're going to begin to start this objective. And it looks like they're going to be able to get it. Mandalorian's on a reset down at his Krug, so there's no time to get up here and contest this. And Kizak has priority in mid as well. It's an 84 to 60 CS lead there in the mid lane. So the solo lanes right now for Ape are getting it done. And we'll see if this does become a problem for Beans, and it probably will. And it'll be on Theo, who has the lead right now for Beans, to try and carry this one out, especially when those 5 versus 5 fights happen. I made a roam to the mid lane, but it ends up just being that both of them walking away, and Smoke continues to dominate up here.
Yeah, Smoke is looking clean, and so is Kizak in the mid, and the fight does break out. Troll doing a lot of damage to Swain. R comes through, but it's dispersing.
Yeah, looks like they kind of tried to scare each other away there. They popped some ultimates and said, hey, you want to go right now? We can go right now. And they both decided to walk away from that one. So control of the river, though, does go the way of Beans. And that Hextech Dragon is alive. Remember, they did secure that first objective. Zexus uses the Call of the Forge God in the top side, trying to get Smoke off the tower there, who continues to trade aggressively, and now has put Zexus in the Death Realm, is just going to commit to this play underneath the tower, but Zexus flashes away from the Q and will pull off the solo kill underneath the turret. So Beans, bot side, they get the Drake. That's now 2, and top side, they close that gold gap with a nice solo kill there from Zexus.
The tower doing so much work for Zexus, but I mean, that's what you got to do. You got to play around it, and doing so incredibly well. But yeah, the objectives are traded. 6 grubs for Ape, so gotta watch out for that split push from Smoke. That's gonna be quite the issue, and maybe even Troll could get some split pushing done, and possibly Kizak on the Swain. But I feel like that's a little bit more of a team fight, Swain. For the time being, but I mean, with a kill like that, Zexus is going to be able to slow down the push of Smoke, maybe just a little bit. The recall does go through. You do have the TP up, I believe, or up pretty darn soon to use to get back to top lane, but just going to decide to walk it.
Well, that hook was very close from Haya there inside that brush. And that solo kill from Zexus doesn't do much to change how the lane is going to work. But at the very least, you're closer to your core items, and it will help you out when it comes to resisting that damage that will come your way, come the fights that will be happening. But as for the Mordekaiser and the Ornn matchup, it doesn't really change much. It's always going to be Mordekaiser in control unless you way overextend and take too much damage from the poke, things like the Q, and you take a searing charge. That Bellows Breath does a lot of damage, but it's going to maintain priority towards Ape here, and they continue to dominate in the side lanes. And Theo, once again, still farming it up here for Beans. This is the person you want to watch out for. He's going to be their carry and going to be the person that they are going to need to be strong if they want to win come the later portions of the game. And it's also very good that they have the Chemtech and the Hextech Drake as well, because if things start to go south and they lose priority of those objectives later on, well, they don't have to worry that potentially Ape will have a soul there at 22 minutes. They still have those two that they got for themselves, so it's going to be a long time before that soul does come into play for Ape. And now they're going to move towards, with the priority they have in the solo lanes, to that Rift Herald.
Yeah, just their top side is so incredibly strong that they can't really contest anything. Zexus is just thinking about it maybe a little bit, but not following through. And Haya is being caught out, but I think you should be fine. I mean, it's a great ult, but what more can you do, Haya, on like such low HP? Theo, now you're in trouble, but the Nocturne for the recontest comes in, and Theo doing a lot of damage. The R's are coming out, dealing so much, but I mean, as you're under the tower now, you're in a very safe position. I don't know if you have enough items. You're so incredibly close, and Basil does go down eventually to Theo as Smoke pushing this top side, and the Jaxes here to the trades across the map are so nice now for Ape.
And Zexus is going to fall into the tower, so these are kills going back and forth, both teams finding their cross-map plays. At the very least, it went 1-for-1 there in the bot play, but now Revenger could be in trouble. Mangalorean in between the turrets, and there's the fear, and there is going to be the kill. Theo pushing the tower now as well. The first turret blood does go the way of Ape, but the next turret should follow. Actually, it looks like a back is going to happen here as we see a Rift Herald play, and Troll is very deep under enemy lines right now. It's both Haya and Snyderman going to try and take out this Jax, and that tower will fall, but the aggro is being tanked and Troll is gone, so sacrificed himself for that turret there, gonna open it up. Actually, did he get the tower? Or did that survive 1 HP?
Yeah, it survived on 1 HP. I mean, it should just go down here to Kizak, but I mean, just that presence did allow Smoke to get quite a bit of pressure on that top side, crack open that tier 2, so needing to keep in mind of what's going on in that top side, and Zexus is just having quite a rough time taking like a brunt of the Jax ganks and whatnot as we get deeper into this game. This dragon up in a minute, so that's going to be a hotly contested objective by both of these teams. Beans definitely wanting that and are in a very good position to actually get that one on the board. Ults should all be up at that fight. I mean, same there with Ape, but it's just who can set it up a little bit sooner as we see Janna making her way over there to put some wards down.
Yep, everyone's going to start setting up vision around the dragon. I think the key to success for Beans is finding an engage that works for them, and that would be an anti-ult onto key targets. That would be a Call of the Forge God going down the river and knocking up multiple members, and then when they start the fight, that will put Ape on the back foot, and that will allow Theo to hit from the back line freely and do the damage that he needs to do. So High is going to find a death sentence here to start it off, and that's just going to be a kill, most likely onto Troll, who's dropping down, and the artillery barrage finishes off the Jax, and this will be Ape's jungler dead for this dragon play, and I don't think they can contest this anymore. So I was talking about what the keys to success were for Beans if a fight broke out, but the fight just ended up being one pick, and it looks like they're going to be on soul point here 17 minutes into the game.
Yeah, I mean, getting up 3 dragons here is just so nice, but Smoke is trying to find any value as this dragon goes down and this bot lane is pressured, and it is just going to be just poking out that, you know, top side, getting 2 turrets up there and just trying to open up that inhibitor turret, but Haya is just being such a pest inside of this jungle, but you have no follow-up. You need to get out of there. You are maybe a little bit too deep. But Theo is now here, and maybe you could poke under tower. Theo is pretty strong at this point, having the Bork in hand, about 1.5 items. So, definitely could burst down any of these bot lane champs.
And Kog'Maw gets really strong at the 2-item mark. Once you complete Blade of the Ruin King and you also complete Ginsu's Rage Blade, that's where you start to feel really good in this game. You feel pretty weak beforehand in general, but then after that's complete, you're ready to go. Zexus is using the Call of the Forge God here to try and catch out Smoke inside their jungle. Mangalorean is in pursuit as well, does have the Paranoia and will use it to catch up to the Mordekaiser, who will put him in the Death Realm, but that is simply going to be Nocturne's realm of death and not Mordekaiser's. The fear lands, and that is all that he needs to finish off that kill. The smoke was already lowered there in the jungle. They find the pick, and they buy themselves some time.
Buying some time for the moment. Smoke going to go down, and that's so much of their pressure around the map, especially when things like go wrong for Ape, whether it's a pick that goes over for Beans. Smoke is usually there to bail them out by getting some pressure on the other side of the map, and that's what's keeping their gold lead at the moment. And with a kill like that, I mean, that's just such a massive pick. That allows you to have so much more freedom around the rift, being able to farm out, touch, and take down these turrets. But I mean, take a look. Look at Haya just putting a ward so extremely deep into that jungle, but not being able to hit a hook onto anyone. Not feeling confident in it. I think you do know you're on vision there, though.
And I think, oh, here they go. They're going to go for a play, a flash forward, and the hook is found. So Revenger now going to be hit by multiple members of Beans. It's an excellent play from Haya. Incredible usage of the flash and the hook, but now the Thresh is overextended, does find the hook here onto Basil in the backline. Snyderman trying to do his very best to help out his support, but it's not going to be enough because Smoke has joined the party and has migrated from top to make an impact on the rest of the map, and that will be the response from Ape, and it ends up being a 2-for-1 in their favor. Do they continue this play now? Counter-Strike will buy Troll some time to clear away that vision and will continue into their jungle. There is no dragon up at the moment, and Zexus is also being chased by Kizak, who has popped the ghost and wants this 1v1. There's the Bellows Breath to pop a little bit of damage, Searing Charge to try and buy some space here for Zexus, but Kizak is too easily keeping in range with that ghost. Bellows Breath does not deny the crowd control, and Swain is winning this one out all day, every day. Zexus trying to flash over to the Baron Pit for safety, but Kizak follows forward, and this is just a no contest. The healing is too much. The call of the Forge God came through, but it is to no avail, and that Swain will pick up the solo kill there for the first kill of the game for him.
Just seeing the Orin run around the map, you can't really do anything versus a Swain there. It's kind of the same way that Mordekaiser pokes you down. It's just by sitting right on top of your head, and the stuns just aren't there for long enough. You can't escape their presence, and you just slowly but surely you get poked down and just have no choice but to succumb to the death. But I mean, I guess you're buying time for the rest of your team. You do kind of get thrown out there a little bit, but I mean, on the bright side, at least you're not the most valuable target on the team, I can only imagine.
And I think for Beans now, your bot lane is so strong and you're winning this 2v2. You constantly have Revenger and Basil underneath their tower. I would put Annie in the side lane. Well, Snyderman actually took Ignite, so it's harder to put Annie in the side lane when she doesn't have teleport to join the fights. But it's nice to have your Kog'Maw now in the mid lane to try and knock down that mid tower, and also have the strongest point of your team in the general area to join up in the fights when they break out across the map. So right now, it is Troll and Smoke together in the top side, trying to find picks, trying to find kills. That's where the game is the best for Ape. And on the other side, Beans are strong in their bot lane, which is good because they want to find that soul in the coming minutes. But now the hook will land for Haya, does drop the box down, and Basil will burn both the cleanse and the flash to get away. Theo is flashing forward, wants these kills, but can't quite find it. The artillery barrage not able to finish off the kill there. They get the prow. Can they get the tower? It doesn't look like it. But up and next in 20 seconds is this Infernal Drake, and could mean soul for Beans.
So just take a look at everyone rotating over the Dragon Pit here. The tower's still up. Theo trying their best to get that knocked down, but Basil, you're playing with fire at the moment, as you are going to be out of this fight. 9 seconds till the Dragon comes up. The rest of these 8 members of the top side are positioned in a pretty solid position. And Troll trying to get active, but not finding anything. Zex is here to join the fight. You have Call of the Forge God. You can make something happen here, but you're just pulling 2 of these members away from the rest of your team. Make it a third, as the rest of them are just poking down this Drake.
Yeah, and they're going to try and find this before Troll can get inside of the pit here. There is the damage that's being placed down. It's going to come down to a spike fight between Mandalorian and Troll. Who's going to get it? This is an absolute huge thing here to get, and it's going to go the way of Ape. They're going to find the smite fight. Can they fight in the ensuing fight as well? It looks like they're going to. Everyone is dropping down, but wait a minute. Theo is untouched in the backline. There's the Counter-Strike control. Will get onto the Kog'Maw, who's 8-0, but make him 8-1. It's a triple kill for the Jacks, and what a close fight. Look at the people dropping now. It's a quadra kill for Theo. And that was very close to being Infernal Soul for Beans on top of a quadra kill for their AD carry. Watch out. We have a game on our hands, ladies and gentlemen. This Kog'Maw is absolutely unleashed.
This Kog'Maw is going to be doing so much damage in these up-and-coming team fights. Baron is up. I'm sure this fight will break out soon. But this Jax probably has so many cinders. I can only imagine it's like extremely low cooldowns with all of those in hand. And, I mean, this Kog'Maw goes down, but still a 250 gold bounty. You're 9-1. You pick up Bork, you pick up Renans, and it's just, you're going to be dealing so much damage as long as you have that peel from your Ornn, right? And that was kind of the way that the fight went, just the Ornn not being able to get into the fight, not being able to peel for the Kog'Maw, so you kind of did just get focused down a little bit faster.
Smoke
but
has been hooked. And now the Mordekaiser will have to fight his way against two people here. Does not have Death Realm, remember, used in the previous play. And this is going to be a 1-for-1 because Haya does drop Call of the Forge God used from Zexus, but knocked up by that Janna Tornado, so cannot find that second hit there. But in goes Mandalorian now with the Paranoia, but Basil stands his ground and finds the kill thanks to the ultimate here from Revenger to keep him safe. Now Troll on the flank. He's found Theo, who's now caught between two different people. Does so much damage, but is out of position and will fall for the second time this game. Now Zex's turn to try and run away, but we've seen this before, and now Troll is helping out as well. Zexus has no way out. That flash is coming off a cooldown soon, but not soon enough, and even if it was up, that would probably still result in the kill there for Kizak, and this might mean the Baron now for Ape. They're thinking about it, but the health bars are low, Smoke is dead, they might just wait for another good fight like that.
And Beans going in a little bit too deep there. They did find a pick early into that, but just unable to follow it. Just going a bit too deep into the jungle, and all of the rest of the members, after Smoke's death, just jumped on the rest of the Beans members, and we're just in a bit better positions. They are a bit stronger in those close, positioning of the jungle. So, I mean, it's just funneling yourself into your death, but, I mean, it's still only a 4k gold lead for them. You still are on 3 dragons. It's definitely not over for them, and as long as you can set up this Kog'Maw, you can definitely, shred a couple of these members of Ape. So, it's just about setting up this team fight to your advantage, and it's tough to do, but I think that with enough patience, they can make something happen here.
They can definitely make it happen, you're right, and they need to make sure they're not chasing too far like they did in the last play. They went very aggressive into Ape's jungle, and they ended up getting flanked by Jax, so they want to try and find a position where they can actually get an engage with their great engage tools like Tibbers and like the Call of the Forge God, but they want to make sure that that flank angle isn't opened up for them to get at Theo. Your number one priority right now as Beans with your 9-2 3-item Kog'Maw. Keep him safe as best as you can, and as long as he is safe, then there's a very good chance that you are actually going to be victorious in the team fight. Zexus has been pulled back once again and does have to burn the flash and will not have that for the upcoming play. Does have teleport, both of these top laners do. And everyone hovering around the Baron right now. Theo trying to get some shots in, trying to chunk out those health bars. And they're seeing, can they find an advantage here to start off this fight? Here comes the teleport committed from Smoke. But there is no angle for them just yet. This fight is going to break out very soon. And Ape knows they are stronger right now. They just have to find Theo, and it is game for them. First kill or first hook of the fight lands onto Smoke, and there's the anti-ultimate onto Kizak, who's forced to flash away. Hasn't popped the Demonic Ascension just yet. The Baron down to about 7k, and it's Ape right now on the retreat. This is what I'm talking about. Once the Kog'Maw is safe, you can continue to fight as much as you want if you are Beans. That was the Monsoon as well to heal up the rest of Ape's members. They're trying to find an angle here into the fight, but Theo is simply too strong. Did take a little bit of damage from the poke of Varus, and it looks like this fight now, Control of the River has gone the way of Beans. Mandalorian getting poked down over the wall. Is this fight going to end up breaking out? Here comes the slows from the Rylai's, the flash burn for Mandalorian. Now this time around, it's Ape on the retreat, but there's the flash over from Basil. The Chains of Corruption lands onto Haya. That's going to be the first pick of the fight, and Kizak finds a crucial hook onto Theo. Has to burn the flash to get away. Smoke tried to put him in the death realm, but couldn't quite get in range, and now Troll flashes forward and finds the Kog'Maw. That is going to be the kill that he needs, and this fight should go the way of Ape now that 80 carry is dead. Snyderman is the only one left. This should mean Baron. This is everything now for Ape, and in this game.
And it looked pretty good, but Abe just playing it so well, disengaging, realizing it was a losing fight if they were fighting up in the Baron pit, and then finding a brand new way to engage into that fight that completely caught Beans off guard, and just finding, I think it was just a stun from the Varus onto Haya, and just collapsing on top of that support immediately opened the fight. That's a lot of their peel completely gone. That's a lot of their stun. That's a lot of their, just CC completely out of there, and it leaves the Kog'Maw just open for business for Ape to deal with, and the Baron goes down. This lead is just getting massive at this point in the game. It's about 7k. That's a couple of items right there.
That's a massive advantage for them. And the dragon is up and available, so Beans are making a beeline right now for this Drake. They're actually going to clear away the red buff first, but I don't think they're going to be able to sneak it away from Ape before they're able to get there and fight this one. Troll is already here, waiting for the rest of his team. Has to watch out, though. If he catches a hook from Haya, could drop like we saw in that earlier play. Now the call to Forge Out's coming out. Zexus is just trying to buy time for them to clear away that dragon, but it looks like they're actually just going to opt in for the fight. So Zexus is tanking up in the front line for the moment, is put into the death realm by Smoke. So they are going to vacate the fight, and Haya wants to start it off, finds a flash hook onto Kizak, but I don't think that's the target that you want to bring into your team, as that Swain is very powerful. Snyderman is now caught up in the middle of everyone, and this front line for Ape looks like completely impenetrable. Even Theo right now is having a hard time finding the damage, trying to hit over the wall, but it looks like that this Infernal Drake will go down as the second Drake of the game, and another denial of the soul. No steal has a chance of finding it, and that is going to be Troll to secure it, and that will be the fight win plus the Drake for Ape.
And the issue now for Beans is you have nobody else to... I mean, it is kind of only Theo to deal damage to that front line, to deal damage to Smoke, to Troll, to Kizak, to take them down, but even then, that build that they're going is just not designed for, shredding tanks extremely fast. You don't really have anyone else, and he's doing a lot of burst. This Nocturne's just more of a bruiser that wants to go on the squishies as well, and then that Orin is just trying to peel for the rest of your team. So it's just so insanely tough to break through that front line. We are seeing an engage from the Nocturne here.
Go. Mandalorian goes in with the paranoia, trying to find the damage onto Basil, and they're going to find that kill, but here comes Kizak now in the middle of three different people who are getting damaged by the Demonic Ascension, and that is exactly what Kizak is doing, is ascending to almost immortality now, as Theo is the only one who's really going to be able to find the damage to threaten any of these frontline members. The pull does miss and the inhibitor drops, so it is a pick. Snyderman and Mandalorian working together to find the AD carry of Ape, but the rest of the fight goes the way of Ape, and they find 2 kills back. Now they're looking to try and potentially end this game. They're thinking about it. They're saying to themselves, do we want to move to a different lane, or do we think we can find the angle here to find the fight and the game? Smoke puts Theo into the death realm, but he's getting kited into oblivion, does get pulled back in, and now he's going to get out of the death realm, and now he's in the middle of multiple people. Theo stepped too far forward. He was bamboozled by the safety of the death realm, and now was pulled out into his death. Kizak underneath both towers here will be in his ultimate for as long as someone is within his range. He's dropping low because he's tanking the tower, but now goes into the zombies and heals all the way back up to half HP. Pulls back in higher. They're trying to retreat to their fountain. Snyderman running for his life, but that's going to be the full ace, and the game will end, and Beans will fall short. Once again, Ape improve to 5-2 in the league.
And Ape looking so good there. That entire top side just completely diffing the side of Beans there. The Swain pretty much looked unkillable there on 3 items. So did the Mordekaiser and also the Jax. And, deserved win there. They seemed that once they got into the mid game, once they got their items up, once they got a little bit more sustained, they just knew they were stronger, right? They were not scared to take those fights. They wanted to take everyone, or just all of them, all of the time. Maybe if that smite goes the other way there for Beans on that 4th Drake, it could be a little bit different, but, it's just not going to be the case today.
And shout out Beans, they're always fighting, despite losing out once again. They put up a fight, they had some good moments, But in the end, yeah, like you were saying, Claire, that front line from Ape was overwhelming in the end. They had too big of a lead, and they were able to finally put that nail in the coffin to finish this one off. And so that will be game number 1 of the week. We do have one more game coming up in the few moments here, but we will take a short break. But we'll be right back in about a minute or two with the next game, which will be Orange OnlyFans against the number 1 team in the league right now in the Sky Splitter. Stay tuned for that. We'll be right back. And welcome back, everyone, for game 2 of this week. We just saw Beans versus Ape, if you're just joining us now, and that ended in a victory for Ape. They improved to 5-2, and now we will see the number one team in the league right now, the Sky Splitters, going up against Orange OnlyFans, who are sitting at 3-3 in the standings and are more or less fighting for that third spot against the Essence Thieves, who do have a bye this week, so they will be watching with anticipation to see how Orange OnlyFans do against the Sky Splitters. Are you ready for this game, Claire?
I'm excited. I'm ready to get in here. It's going to be a pretty close game. The first and the third team coming into this one and just having no subs at all. I feel like that's the first time in almost forever.
Yeah. Normally there's at least a few there. Like we had both AD carries last game who were subbed out and they had their substitutions in. This time around, the full strength of both teams. So let's take a look at the bans. Blitzcrank has been taken off the board. Don't want that pesky champion in the bot lane. Something like Bane as well, who can be flexed up top and bot. Have another top ban with the Aatrox. And then the Mordekaiser, which was very powerful last game for the for Ape. We will not be seeing that champion in this one. And let's take a look at what these teams have picked for us here in the first round of picks.
The Jinx to immediately come through, and another first pick ADC as we get into this game. Is Sky Splitters just going to respond with it, or with another ADC pick just to immediately get that counter out? And that's immediately what we're going to see. The Lucian comes through along with the Thresh. So a lot of just poke and some damage to come out of this Thresh and the Lucian. Not going to be super impactful on the Lucian, I would say, in the early game, but I mean, neither is the Jinx too much. Just both needing to scale up quite a bit, and another hook champs to come out with Nautilus.
Yeah, the Lucian Thresh, so gonna try and punish this Jinx before she can scale. It does get a little difficult later on when Jinx starts to have that range advantage. So the name of the game for Jinx in the lane is going to be keep that Lucian at bay, because if Lucian's in range of Jinx, then that's going to be problems for her. She did get nerfed on the recent patch, but it wasn't too impactful of a nerf. It was a longer ultimate cooldown now, so she can't use it as frequently, can't use it to cancel back steal objectives without feeling the impact of it not being up and available for perhaps a team fight. But now we see Vi has been picked up for Orange OnlyFans, likely to go into the jungle, and Wukong is the response, could be flexed into top or jungle as well. So Sky Splitters maintaining that flexibility in the draft as we head into the second round of bans.
Yeah, just getting into this one, the Cassante Syndra to come through, trying to pick off that mid and that top side bans, and Aesol and Xerath just not wanting anything to get poked through in that mid lane for Sky Splitters. Know how strong those mages can be, and makes a lot of sense, but slowly getting into this one, and it doesn't really matter. A mage is going to be picked anyways. It's going to be LeBlanc to be played off into that mid lane, but versus who is the question.
We'll find out. LeBlanc is going to be picked blind here in the mid lane. Not a bad choice, because LeBlanc feels very strong at the moment. Has been terrorizing me a little bit in solo queue recently, and we'll see what the response for Orange OnlyFans is. Now, I will say, okay, so it's going to be the Ahri. Vi is a champion that's nice versus LeBlanc, as she has lots of mobility with her distortions, and so the cease and desist will be some help in locking her down if she is the target. Fiora will be potentially the blind pick in the top lane, as the last pick here for Sky Splitters could be their jungler, it could be their top laner. Wukong again can flex into both of those roles, and then Olaf, so I would have to assume they did buff Olaf jungle a little bit. He has become more viable in that role as of late. Could go up against the Fiora. We still have that little bit of flexibility there. Could be an Olaf jungle, could be an Olaf top. I guess would be that Olaf is going in the top lane to match that Fiora in the 1 versus 1.
Yeah, but quickly, you know, we see everything here. We see the drafts from both of these teams, and to me, I can't really decide on who's going to be the more oppressive team, or like who's just stronger here on paper. We do see that Olaf versus that Fiora, so I want to lean a little bit more into Sky Splitters being a bit stronger on that top side, but it's just kind of hard to say with just how good Orange OnlyFans is, right? Like individually as just a team.
Yeah, it will really come down to, at the very least, if we talk about bot lane first. This needs to be Ronnie World and Kyo winning this lane early on and shutting down Jinx so she has a hard time to get to her 3 items, to get to her late game scaling power. You want Guilty Free Soul to find a bunch of kills and start running around the map finding picks, people in isolation, these types of things. And you also need Phaser to win the top lane as well, because Ajuka on Fiora gets very strong later on. We have lots of scaling here for Orange Only fans. So pretty much the name of the game in all lanes, you could really say, if we want to just generalize this, is find your advantages in the early game, unlock your bot lane. Thrasher might have to make a choice between bot or top. If he wants to leave Phaser to 1v1 Ajuka, he might say, okay, I'm fine in the 1v1 against the Fiora. I can take him by myself. You help out the bot lane. Look for dives against the Jinx. Look for gank setup. They have a Thresh, so there's lots of gank setup there. And then post 6 as well with the Cyclone. They can look to make the Jinx's life hell. So really, if I'm going to sum it up, it's early game right now for Sky Splitters. Find a lead and run with it. Orange Only fans, you have Fiora, you have the Jinx. Let's see if you can make it to those stages of the game where they start to really come online.
Yeah, and I think that Thrashers, or at least Phaser's going to be a little bit more comfortable in this Fiora matchup. I think this Olaf is just pretty much a pest for Ajuka to deal with. Maybe not necessarily better, but can still annoy this Fiora quite a bit and just run around and run immediately at you with just not having any CC in the R. So it's kind of a good pick, I would say personally. Just against a Fiora, but yeah, I mean, it's just depending who gets out of the early game in a stronger position is the real question at the moment. And we aren't seeing any level 1 shenanigans either, and we've just been completely missing those. But there's like how far Guilty Free Soul is under this tower. Just wanted to get any poke that you can out early, make this Ahri really just play a bit more passive in the lane.
And Mr. Mango Dragon in chat is saying, these support players, when they play against them, pick out the champions like Hui and these types of things, but then when they play against each other, they play the normal champs that he's used to playing against. So they just want to make you suffer there, Mango Dragon. They don't really want you to have fun down there. They like to play the Hui when they're playing against you, and then they'll leave the fun for everyone else. It seems that that's going to be the case. And let's take a look at this mid lane now, though. A distortion over the wall. I see it on the mini map there. Could have been close. TSM is garbage. Might have found the play. We see a hook down, death sentence in the bot lane. Kyo finds a hook onto Jin, and you see now the Jinx is half HP. This is the type of pressure I'm talking about. They want to keep this up. Maybe look for dives with Wukong later too. Just try and shut down the Jinx as much as you possibly can. We saw a little bit of a sneak peek of how powerful Thresh Lucian can be.
And what I'm kind of shocked about is that Small PPW did pick this Ahri into the LeBlanc, and you've really got to be on your game here if you're Ahri. The LeBlanc can absolutely just run around you because all of your spells are pretty much just like projectile besides that W, so you need to be on your game. You need to be alert, you need to be vigilant. And it does seem that Small PPW is having a good time with the route to go through.
Yeah, there's the dredge line that's been found. So Kyo will take half his health and damage. And that's the win con for Jin and D Muda. And we actually see now Guilty Free Soul dropping the Ignite onto Small PP Weeb. Gonna have to burn the flash. Guilty Free Soul does not have any cooldowns to finish off that kill, and that will be certainly the reset now for the Ahri. And does have teleport to come back. Phaser, the slowest block there from Ajuka's W. And both junglers, well actually now, TSM is garbage heading back up to the top side. Thrasher just waiting in that bush we can see on the bot side, but trailing the recall is going to head back to base. So both junglers on their initial clear haven't gone for any ganks. They've stuck to their full clear. It's going to be a trade of crabs. TSM is garbage walked up to the top side. We've yet to see where they want to strike first.
Yeah, no kills going out almost 5 minutes into the game. Very unnormal. Not used to seeing that, but this Olaf is in a very precarious situation. No R on here, and TSM is garbage just jumping right in, getting that first blood, and cleaning that one up. A great gank from Orange Only fans to open this matchup.
That's a good gank. Good timing there. Phaser was pushing in the wave, tried to get those last minions killed so that he could crash the wave underneath the turret and then go for a reset. And then TSM's garbage is there at the perfect time to punish him when he's trying to push in that last wave and they pick up a kill onto their Vi. I also saw a question in chat whether Riposte which is Fiora's W, would work to block axe damage and E damage from Olaf, and it will. It does block damage as well as the crowd control. You only get the stun, though, if you block a crowd control ability. So if Olaf throws an axe at Fiora and she decides to parry, then the damage will be blocked, but there won't be a stun because no crowd control was blocked. And we see small PvP back in the mid lane now. It did have to teleport after that heavy trade happened. And Jin had to burn the flash there. Kyo looked for that death sentence, and that is exactly what it would have been if the Jinx had have eaten that skill shot. So going to have to flash away from that one. We'll see if they can punish the flashless Jinx in the coming minutes.
This Jinx is a target that Sky Splitters can get onto. It's kind of the only few you can see. You can like try your best to get onto small PvE, but having that R up now is pretty difficult. No one can really chase it. And Kyo is in a very odd situation, missing that hook. So the push, the pressure is all gonna fizzle out here. And this Drake is up, which might just be the target here for Orange Only fans if they feel safe enough to do it.
It doesn't seem like they feel safe enough to start it yet. They have priority in the river. Kyo made that roam to the mid lane, so that meant Ronnie World was by himself bot. So Jin and D Muda were able to push out the wave. It looks like they want to go for resets, and TSM is garbage also going to reset to the fountain as well. Ajuka found a parry there, now pops the grand challenge that is, and Phaser's out of mana. I don't even think he has enough mana to pop the Ragnarok, but unfortunately Ajuka can't quite find those vitals, but gets it in the end right before Phaser runs to the safety of his tower. That's a solo kill for Ajuka, and exactly what you want to see for Orange Only fans, but we see a fight in the bot side as well. Dimuda forcing the flash from Kyo, who did face check that brush the Nautilus was waiting in, so that summoner spell going to be off the Thresh. But right now we have a 1k lead roughly for Orange Only fans and 2 kills up in this game.
I mean, this is just looking so nice here for Orange Only fans. And we saw that flash coming out of Kyo. The pressure is just continuing to keep on this bot lane of Sky Splitters. The Drake is still up, both neutral objectives still up. In fact, I think those grubs are going down. I can't seem to see where TSM is garbage. I can only imagine that working together with Ajuka to take those down. And I mean, that's going to be dangerous, right? You don't want this Fiora to be super strong on the side lanes, and it's only going to get stronger, you know, with those kills, with those grubs, take those turrets a little bit faster. And that's just where so many resources are going to need to be burned from this Sky Splitters team, if that is the case. But I mean, it seems that the dirt is slowing down at the moment. Ronnie World is trying to stop these backs. It does, you know, make that happen. Dimuda needing to restart that one and get back there. But I mean, everyone seems pretty content with farming, not really going for anything, even though we do see some of the objectives up on the map. But, I mean, not getting enough pressure in the spot lane, not getting enough pressure in the mid lane to feel comfortable getting those.
Yeah, this type of pace of game very much benefits Orange Only fans. I'll go back to what I was talking about before the game began, or sort of before the minions spawned. They scale, right? They have Fiora, who will ruin the side lane in the late game, will have no problem facing Olaf at that time, and you have Jinx, who's going to be a 5v5 machine. If they decide to opt in for a 5v5, I'll have to interrupt myself, though, because Kyo has been caught out in the mid brush. That's excellent knowledge there from Orange Only fans as a team to understand that the Thresh had moved from the bot lane off the reset to the mid lane, but they do end up getting one back, and it's going to be Guilty Free Soul to pick up that kill. It ends up being a 1-for-1 trade, so TSM is garbage kind of made the play and then dipped out, and small people we've got ganged up on by Guilty Free Soul and Thrasher to make it a 1-for-1, and they are looking towards this area of the Drake. Thrasher spots out 2 members, and with the advantage here in the bot side for the moment, they're actually not going to start it up.
Thinking just this trade is trying to get out from Ajuka, but it's just not going your way. Phaser's just tanking these and happy to do so, but you don't have your axe. There you go. You're finally getting it back. The R is going to come out. You're just trying to run down this Fiora, but she's just moving a little bit too fast, but it does not matter. It's too much damage to come out of Phaser, and there goes Ajuka. Another kill to go the way of Sky Splitters. But the Dragon, I think, is going the way here of Orange Only fans.
Yep. They're going to try it, at the very least. down to 2.9k, and Thrasher's channeling his recall in the tri-brush you can see on the minimap, so I don't think the Sky Splitters care for a contest, but I'll hold my breath here because they've canceled the recalls, but the Drake has gone down, so they can look for a fight, but they will not get this first dragon. The death sentence just misses as D-Muda wants to go back in. The zap lands. The Chompers will root up Keo for the moment. Ronnie World gets a little bit of damage put into him, but now they have to retreat because here comes Thrasher, but Small PP Weeb has made his way from the mid lane. They're charging up that engage, and there's the death sentence that's going to cancel the charge from Vi as well. The dredge line, the flash dredge line that is, just went wide from D-Muda, so Ronnie World able to walk away from that one unscathed. Both teams, they don't lose a member, but they do get the solo kill on the top side. Does the Sky Splitters? The response from Orange OnlyFans is that Hextech Dragon.
Yeah, the goal difference, though, at 10 minutes is pretty even. Sky Splitters having a little bit of a lead, just farming a little bit better than this Orange OnlyFans team. But, the objectives are all favoring Orange OnlyFans. We're seeing these grubs go up here very soon. This LeBlanc trying to make her way up the top lane, and that might just leave Ajuka in a pretty interesting spot.
Oh, yeah, both mid laners making their way to the top side, but Ajuka is the one who's getting attacked first. Now the reinforcements have arrived. The charm goes wide, and now he's going to have to use the Spirit Rush to get away from the Olaf, who has popped the Ghost, and trying to decide which person do I want to chase after. They're both kind of out of my range, and Small PPW has the Spirit Rush to space me, so can't find anyone to hit. It results in no one dropping. A few summoner spells burned, or maybe just one summoner spell burned, that being Phaser's Ghost. And the Rift Herald is the next objective to spawn here very soon. I believe it's the Rift Herald and not the second pair of grubs. Maybe it is the second pair of grubs and I am mistaken. It's one of the two. It is the second pair of grubs. Okay, and this is going to be Sky Splitters with priority right now in the river. Could potentially start off a fight here. TSM is garbage now. Inside that brush, found the surprise there onto Thrasher. The death sentence goes wide, but here comes D-Muda, going to look for a dredge line onto the jungler of Sky Splitters, going to find it, and before he can even clone himself, there's too much CC before you can even use the ability, and is going to drop, and that should mean that these grubs will go the way of Orange OnlyFans, and that means that, Claire, they have all six.
All six. This side push is going to be so strong here, unless Keo can, find one maybe with a hook. Probably going to be a bit too difficult to make that happen, but you never know. The ward is still in there. It does, find a target, just not what you're looking for. It's going to be TSM's garbage to be stunned out. Very happy just to finish the rest of these grubs. They do find this gold lead off of the back of that kill and off of that neutral objective, as Jin and Ronnie World are just fighting into this bot lane, but the Coling not going to find any target, as it is a bit wasted there.
Yep, you just try. That's a common thing when you play Lucian, is you get priority of the lane by using that culling to push your opponent off of the wave, off of the turret. It does a lot of damage, so not really getting the full value, like you said, Claire, and not able to find all the shots, but at the very least it pushes Jin back, and it gets Ronnie World a plate. Has an 8 CS lead. This isn't necessarily the ideal lead that you'd want as a Lucian into a scaling champion like Jinx. However, it doesn't necessarily mean that the game is over, right? If you guys are even in gold and it's later on, the Lucian still has room to outplay, but we'll see what Sky Splitters can do. Thrasher is waiting in the bush, has been spotted out by D-Muda, gonna pop the Cyclone, and the death sentence just going to miss here, and Thrasher's going to be rooted up by the Chompers. The dredge line's going to hold him in place for the moment, but the Lantern will bring him back to safety, and that will be the end of that play in the bot side, and no kills will go over to either team. There's a bunch of time committed there from Thrasher, and they don't really get much for it.
Yeah, you would want them to get a little bit more there. Not going to be the case, and just these two these two in the top lane are just absolutely thrashing it back and forth. No one really coming out on top there, just wanting to get some trades. It is Phaser with a bit of a level advantage and a CS advantage, so a bit stronger, I guess you could say, not having a full item, but is having those boots. And Guilty Free Soul just finding your way into the mid lane. The Vi is here. This is quite the mistake, I can only assume. That is what you're thinking now, and it's just this LeBlanc trying to run away, using those clones, using those dashes, but it's just all for naught.
It's all for naught, and that's what I talked about. The Vi is good versus LeBlanc because the Cease and Desist does a great job of locking that slippery champion down. And speaking of lockdown, Ronnie World has run into a bush that has a Jinx and a Nautilus, going to use the culling to try and trade at least a little bit of damage back, able to drop the Muda down to about 30% HP. Does have to burn both summoners, but importantly survives with his life. but I believe they're going to be able to crash this wave, and he is going to reset. So that is going to be some golden experience denied from the Lucian. And now look at the CS. It is quite even here for both bot laners. And we talk about scaling. This has to favor the Jinx. You need to believe heading into the later portions of the game. We're starting to transition into this mid game. The Cloud Drake is up now. Jinx has finished her first item. So right around 2 or 3 items, depending on when she buys Infinity Edge, is when she becomes strong. Now we see it all in here from Phaser. Does pop the Ragnarok. Ajuka has backed away without using the Grand Challenge, and Phaser's out of mana. So if he stays any longer, could fall victim to a solo kill, but looks like he's going to wisely back off and look for a reset.
Yeah, just being able to push in that top wave allows Thrasher to get onto this Rift Herald, and that's something you need. But on the opposite side of the map, that Dragon is going over to Orange OnlyFans. It's going to be the second for them, and it's going to reveal the soul here. It's going to be Ocean, so both these teams desperately wanting to get onto that, both of them being able to take this Ocean Soul and being a great advantage to them, but a great hook from Keo.
Yeah, Keo finding himself a nice hook there, but the dredge line to the wall will bring Dimuda to safety. They didn't feel they had the strength to go for that 2 versus 2, and they will hold off on it. Keo has spotted TSM as garbage, trying to heist away their Grompy, saying, hey, you can't do that. That's not yours. You can't even flash away, because that is going to be the LeBlanc Q from downtown following the charge of the Vi to her demise, and that's also a shutdown they've gotten onto their LeBlanc as well. Now improving to 2-1 is Guilty Free Soul, and this is excellent gold that you are getting onto one of your primary carries in that LeBlanc.
Yeah, needing to find something here. That Vi going down with the bounty, the LeBlanc only going to get a bit stronger, but I mean, it is on the LeBlanc that is a very difficult champ for a lot of these Orange OnlyFans like players to deal with. But yeah, it's just, this is a very low kill game, not something we're used to. Both of them playing very methodically around the map, just needing to get those neutral objectives, need those standing gold on the map with this Rift Herald. That's going to be the first tower down into the mid lane, and the second one's going to be attacked, but I don't think it's going to go down. That wave is going to be cleared by TSM as garbage, and they're just going to fall off and fall back, see if they can get any other camps, as all of these objectives are down. You have about 3 minutes till they come up, and you just gotta ask yourself, you know, you need to farm this wave out. You need to get some pressure built up, like Guilty Free Soul and Phaser on top of Ajuka, but, I mean, now you're under the tower. You should be pretty safe.
Yep, should just run away from this one unscathed. Didn't have to use the Grand Challenge, but did have to use the Ghost, but so did Phaser, so it's an even trade. And Guilty Free Soul is still hanging around here looking to see if there's any other play after the fact, but that was that mid turret, the first turret of the game for Sky Splitters, being taken out. So both towers in the mid lane for both teams have been knocked down. That will open up the map for some more plays, and I expect to see these bot laners start to migrate to the mid lane to start fighting for that priority of the mid lane, because once you have control of that wave, then it's a little bit easier for you to venture into your opponent's jungle without losing that the resources, which is the golden XP from that wave. We see 2 dragons for Orange OnlyFans, the next one spawning in 2 minutes and 20 seconds. So they may still have their eyes on that soul. I'm almost certain they still have their eyes on the prize, which is that dragon soul. They will definitely like that. It will accelerate their scaling, give them some of those permanent stats. And the goal for Sky Splitters is to stop that from happening. This is a really tense moment in the game because both of these teams are playing each other very close, and it might come down to the dragon fight. It might come down to a surprise catch in the river. A solo kill might open it up. They could look for a tower dive, but the next plays that they go for are going to be huge, and this is going to be one of them. Guilty Free Soul has been caught out. I think Jin sent that rocket the wrong way, but it's not going to matter because the Jinx picks up the kill in the end regardless. That's okay. Maybe you were just trying to poke the Olaf. You knew you had the kill, Jin. That's actually... Let's give them some credit. This is big brain gaming we have here, and we're going to see another fight break out here, and it's going to be Thrasher that's caught out. They got the pick in the mid lane, and now they're confident enough to walk into the enemy jungle and look for the rest of the fights, and this is that critical team fight I was talking about that's going to tip the scale, and it's going to tip the scale in favor of Orange OnlyFans. They get some kills onto their AD carry. They also find some necessary picks to increase their gold lead now to roughly 2,000. And this is perfect for them. They're going to continue to siege down mid, and we'll see what else that they can get.
Just so incredibly well played. This LeBlanc having such a difficult time into these team fights as, these two top laners just dueling it out. But yeah, I mean, you have to deal with that Vi and you have to deal with that Nautilus. Two pretty solid champs that can just lock you down. But Phaser is just not backing up. You're CC immune, but this Vi is here and you're just in a pretty tough situation. TSM, his garbage is absolutely dominating and running the rift on this Vi, being a part of almost every kill. Only 8 of them, missing out on 1. And, I mean, if you're Sky Splitters, you gotta be asking yourself, how do you get back into this game? You need to win a neutral objective fight, and to my eyes, it's going to be in 17 seconds on this Ocean Soul. But
Yeah, that's where you want ideally, and you want to get. So they have Keo now in the mid lane. They have Ronnie rolled in the mid lane as well. They need to push the wave in and then get priority of this river and maybe do exactly what Orange OnlyFans did to them a few minutes ago, which is sweep out that vision and force them to face check and get caught out. And that's exactly what they could potentially be looking for here. They're going to group up inside of this brush, and Thrasher has found TSM is garbage, followed up with the death sentence. Call me a prophet, because they are somehow listening to me, and they have found the pick that will deny the dragon stacking of Orange OnlyFans. This should secure them the Ocean Drake unless a miracle super mega death rocket steal happens, which is very unlikely after the damage was nerfed a while back. They're less likely to happen, and they are going to secure that Ocean Drake, although the trade in the mid lane is also still good for Orange OnlyFans, but the dragon stacking for OOF has been stopped.
Yeah, just perfectly calling the play that they needed to make happen, and it's kind of like they were listening to you as an IGL, but you need to get out of here. This fight is going to break out. Sky Splitter's feeling confident. They feel like they want to take this one. This Olaf is doing so much damage. The CC immunity is just knocking down this Nautilus, and the fight, it is going to be broken up. Only 1 kill on either of... actually 2. I didn't realize that this Ari went down, but where did you die?
I think it was a solo kill somewhere inside of the jungle, but I want to talk about how hilarious that was when I was watching that Phaser run to try and kill Demuda, and then Keo throws the lantern saying, hey, we can get out of this one, you can take this lantern and get out, and he's like, think about it, and he's saying, no, I'm not taking a lantern, I'm going for the kill. It's just a pure Olaf moment. But aside from the retrospect, we're looking at this Baron play, and here comes TSM as garbage trying to find the steal, but the hook does land, using the cease and assist to kill Ronnie Rolled. And can he find the steal? But the damage on the Baron isn't enough to get it into smite range. Now Ajuka is inside of the pit. Thrasher is fortunately able to smite away the Baron here for Sky Splitters on the back end of the fight. Small PPB was able to pick up 1 kill, and look at Jin in the backline free hitting here. It was Sky Splitters to take the Baron, but it's all gone for them now. All they got from that was the gold and the XP, because the fight will go the way of Orange OnlyFans, and that is a massive turning point here for them, and they will be swimming in gold after this play.
Yeah, and it did look pretty good there for Sky Splitters. They had a chance of, winning that one out, but it just all crumbled there once the reset from Orange OnlyFans came through. And
yeah, well, they're able to take down these towers now. They're able to knock down the tier 3 up here in the top lane. And Jin, now with 217 farm, close to around that 9 CS per minute mark. Let's see the buy here. Is it going to be the Infinity Edge? It is going to be the Infinity Edge. This is a massive spike for Jinx. You're lacking a little bit in attack speed when you go the Infinity Edge second, but as long as you can find a quick proc of your passive to get some more attack speed, you are going to be dealing a ton of damage. Actually, he's able to buy a Zeal on top of it as well to kind of remedy that. So this Jinx is super fed, and this is where you're going to start to see Jin start to take over, especially once the third item comes through. We talk about scaling. Right now, Orange OnlyFans, they're looking really good at this current game state.
And Orange OnlyFans in the driver's seat of this game. I mean, they're a 4K gold lead up. It's definitely not out of possibility for Sky Splitters to come back into this one. They need some fights to go their way. They need to, pick up something, whether it be a dragon, whether it be another Baron. And, we have some time. We have some time to wait for that to happen. I don't think they're confident enough to go for a, another one of those bush strategies inside of the the jungle of Orange OnlyFans. So for now, we're just waiting, right? We do see Thrasher waiting here, seeing if Small PB Weave gets a little bit too aggressive, but I think you are spotted out.
They kind of went for the bait here. Muda not actually going to continue this play. Keo was there for backup, so was Thrasher, like you mentioned, Claire. And Small PP Weeb has lots of danger floating around them right now that he does not see. But will they be able to capitalize on the numbers advantage that they have down here? It doesn't look like that's going to be the case. The recall is being channeled here from Thrasher. And again, a stalled game state. It's favoring Ajuka. It's favoring Jin. It's favoring Orange OnlyFans. The 5 versus 5 for the side of Sky Splitters isn't as strong. LeBlanc is more of a find the picks, flank the backline type of champion. Lucian is more of a skirmish focused champion, so their 5v5 is weaker, and we're starting to get to the point of the game where it's harder to find these picks across the map because the game starts to become more coordinated with their pushes. They have Ajuka in the side lane, they have Jin pushing the mid waves, they have Small PP Weave in the bot lane, and they're playing very, I don't want to caster curse them again. I try and prevent myself from caster cursing, but they're playing very conservative, they're playing very smart. There's lots of CS, 10 CS per minute now on this Jinx. It's looking really good for them. They just have to find the right moment to find their engage and go for the fight that's going to start to now rip open the base, which is the next step for Warren's OnlyFans.
This Jinx an entire item up on top of this Lucian, so as this dragon does come up, if you can peel for the Jinx, is going to be such an easy task for you, but the engage is so strong from this from this Nautilus, and there goes the Thresh, and we're getting deeper into this. There goes Ronnie World on the Lucian, more kills going your way, but the Olaf needing to save this one, but I don't think there's just enough time in the world for that to happen. These kills going through. Jin is the target and is going to go down. 1,000 gold now in the hands of the Olaf, and you might just be able to save this.
Yeah, they're saving it right now. This is crazy. This is looking really good for Sky Splitters. I can't believe they were able to pull off this fight. It was a little bit uncoordinated. So what I was saying before was the 5 versus 5s favor Orange OnlyFans, but however, this one was all over the jungle, and there wasn't very many. They didn't have their flank angles covered, so Jin, similar to Theo in the previous game we watched between Beans and Ape, got pinched there in the fight between multiple people and was able to drop. And yeah, like you said, Claire, 1k bounty went over. That's an absolute massive fight for Sky Splitters, and it was a necessary one to start to pull them out of that hole that they were finding themselves in, which was that daunting shadow, which is the scaling of Orange OnlyFans. And they're starting to remedy that a little bit. And let's see if they can pick up some steam and continue this momentum and start to push forward and find an advantage for themselves and start to bury Orange OnlyFans before they get to a super Exodia state.
That second Drake being in the hands now of Sky Splitters, we're evened up, but I mean, they still do have an advantage, right? Orange OnlyFans having those 6 grubs, the side push a little bit more difficult to have to happen as all those tier 1 turrets are taken off the rift. So I mean, right now you're just looking for some team fights.
Oh, Muda
coming up. A great engage, though.
Caught out inside of the mid lane, and that will be another pick here. Again, picks, skirmishes, that's exactly the way that Sky Splitters wants to play this game, and they find the kill onto the Nautilus, and Baron is coming up. It's just about to spawn here in the coming seconds. It is now live, so do they feel confident enough to go for the subjective when it's only the support of Orange OnlyFans down? It seems like that's not the case. They're just going to go back to their lane assignments. They're going to put Guilty Free Soul in the top lane to push, try and siege down that tier 3. And the question is, do they move their bot lane up to try and force down this tier 3 turret? What is the game plan right now for Sky Splitters? Are they going to move into the jungle to try and clear vision and find a pick, translate that into a Baron? They have mid priority right now. We'll see what they do with it. Guilty Free Soul has gone back to base. They have prio of the side lanes right now. Guilty Free Soul is maintaining it against Ajuka. Phaser is maintaining against Small PP. We can't really do much as an Ahri versus a champion like Olaf. So we'll see if the stall continues here for Orange OnlyFans, and if it is, then it's good for them. We need to see what Sky Splitters can do if they can find more picks like that, like they found on Muda there. They're moving towards the Baron and clearing away some of this vision is Orange OnlyFans, and we're yet to see very soon a fight to break out.
Yeah, and something of note that I think we should be looking at is even though TSM garbage has been absolutely everywhere, and popping off for Orange Only fans. You're 2 levels down compared to Thrasher. Thrasher has been farming so well. It's now only 1, but for a while there, you were down 2 levels, and it's just kind of showing just how much more impact that Thrasher's had around the map, even though if the KD doesn't look like that's the case. But yeah, we're just sitting in a pretty interesting game state. Both of these teams knowing that it's incredibly even. Neither of them wanting to make a mistake, but also still trying to move that needle forward towards the win. But it's just very even. A hair separates these teams. It's just how you can set up these fights. It's just so difficult. You have the TP for Phaser. It is the Ahri down here to challenge both of them, having the TP, so needing some wards to be set up for them, or a fight to take down on a wave if they want to enjoy and experience the fight for themselves if it does break out. But it's just
Well, they're going to make the decision now to start the Baron, and this is a good decision from Sky Splitters because they dominate the vision game around the Baron. So right now, it's Orange Only fans that have to take a guess. Okay, we can't really see what's going on right now. Are they on the Baron? Are they not? We're forced to face check here. Phaser teleports into the fight, has to take the Lantern towards the Baron, and it looks like they might actually just be rushing this one right now. TSM is Garbage does have to try and find a way into the pit, otherwise the Baron will go the way of Sky Splitters, but they decided to turn the fight over onto the Orange Only fans members, but Jin is free hitting in the back line. The shutdown onto Phaser will go through. Jin is now excited, trying to chase down the rest of the Sky Splitters and going to successfully do so. They did not get the Jinx down, and then she was able to punish because she was free hitting in the backline. But let's think about the aftermath of this fight. They're starting up the Baron. The only person still alive right now is Guilty Free Soul, who's hovering around this Baron, and the health bars are very low. So if you find the right angle, you can stop this Baron from happening, and it doesn't look like Orange Only fans is going to take the risk in the flash forward. That killer instinct, not playing Kaisa, but still having it to find that kill onto the jungle, and Guilty Free Soul, despite this team losing the fight, able to bring a little bit back. Here comes a rocket, though. It not quite going to land. But what a crazy exchange. Orange Only fans able to get a little bit back there in that fight.
Yeah, it's just a very even fight. Yet again, we are seeing this. No objective going down. This dragon's up in 30 seconds, so that one's definitely going to be fought over. It must be claimed. It's not going to be sole point, so they don't have too much to worry about. But it's Sky Splitters needing to set this up. It's seeming that we're coming to the bot lane. Thresh being able to get a ward down in River, and another one on top of the Dragon Pit itself. So both of these teams are very aware of the enemy's position, or at least somewhat, being able to track all of these players. Phaser down and free farming in the bot lane, just wanting to get these waves pushed in, so it makes the rotation throughout this jungle a little bit easier. But, I mean, not in a great position here for Orange Only fans.
It looks like both teams want to contest the soul point. I was wondering if one of them would make the decision to say, okay, let's give them the dragon and let's start up the Baron because it isn't soul. Obviously, you don't want to trade Baron for soul, but if it's just soul point, then we can actually look to trade the Baron. And right now, the priority is with the Sky Splitters. They're going to hit the dragon and try and pull it away from where Orange Only fans are grouped up. Ronnie World going to hit it a little bit, and they've brought it towards that right side of the pit, towards the bot lane right now. And we're waiting for this fight to start off, but the dragon is going down very low. It's going to come down to a smite fight, and it's going to be Ronnie World to secure this one. And it looks like they've actually found the engage that they've wanted. They've taken out Jin this time around, successfully taking down the 80 carry of Orange Only fans. We see a quadra kill for the Olaf. Phaser absolutely ripping these team fights apart. Ragnarok is so valuable against teams with lots of CC. There's no one there to protect your Jinx, or no way you can protect her with a Viking who is immune to anything that you use to stop him. This will be Baron for Sky Splitters. They maintain their position in this game.
And just the ability, right? They have so much CC that's so perfect for locking down this LeBlanc that it kind of goes over their head that the Phaser can just run through all of it. They don't even need to slow down, and look at Phaser just opening up this base. Small PvE you can do, try as you might, but I mean, this is all just going to go down. The inhibitor's open. You have this Baron buffed minions. Now, I can only imagine just everything else will be opened as well. Look at that top side. Both these turrets should be going down. Orange Only fans can attempt to contest it, but I feel like that's just not going to go your way.
Yeah. Now more gold, more standing gold
So
in the
much.
favor of Sky Splitters. It was a small gold lead for Orange Only fans not too long ago before these sequences of events took place. But now take a look up at the scoreboard. That gold lead has now swung in favor of Sky Splitters. Now we are getting to more of the later stages of the game, so a gold lead starts to matter a little bit less as more items start to being purchased and people start getting closer and closer to full builds. But nonetheless, 5k at the 35-minute mark, you will take it if you are Sky Splitters. What is your next step now? You've taken down the mid lane inhibitor. Your next step is to try and attack the other lanes as well. Use the most of this Baron that you can, the remaining portions of it. You still have about a minute and a half to go. It's not even halfway complete, so you have lots of time. You have Phaser in the bot lane, and the rest of you can just group up here because the mid lane's going to push on its own with the super minions, and it is going to be up to Orange Only fans to try and decide how they want to split their defenses to stop this split push here. It looks like Spall PvP is going to be the person that's going to have to stop the Olaf, but there's simply no damage here. Ragnarok is going to be popped, and Small PvP doesn't really do anything to stop the Olaf from ripping through that tower and ripping through this inhib as well, so they have now opened up two portions of the base at the moment. Now Phaser has problems because Ajuka has joined the fray, is going to pop the grand challenge, and that will be enough damage to shut down the Olaf before he's able to take out the inhib as well. So the base was cracked, but he's not able to get that inhib there. So super minions won't be piling into two lanes. It'll still just be one for the moment. The siege will continue.
They're just so comfortable sitting with these minions. Just having it poked down. This, but the Jinx is going to put a stop to all of that fun. Guilty Free Soul trying to get this bot inhibitor, and it successfully makes that happen. Two inhibitors now cracked open for Sky Splitters, and you need to recontest. You need to try to slow this down.
Oh,
and you do
here we go.
Find an engage on a Guilty Free Soul, but can you just escape? And yeah, it's just going to be this LeBlanc leaving these minions, pushing back into the base. So much pressure being created by these inhibitors being down that you can really just walk wherever you want. You need to look both ways. Every time you step outside of your base, you need some vision, you need some wards out there, but it's just so difficult to make that happen.
It is very difficult. And look at what Guilty Free Soul is doing. This is your wheelhouse as LeBlanc in the enemy jungle when they have no vision, and you are on the prowl every time someone steps into their jungle to try and get vision down, to try and see if your team is doing a neutral objective. You are there to either chunk them or just kill them outright, especially if they're alone as the assassin. This is your job. So Guilty Free Soul doing a great job of being that lingering threat there, and they have to move together to try and counter this. There's going to be the control ward place, and now Guilty Free Soul, you have to be careful because that's a lot of CC, and the shutdown's going to go the way of Jhin, and Jin's going to get excited trying to get his way to the rest of the members of Sky Splitters, but the hook, the death sentence lands onto D-Muda. That's going to be this next kill here for Sky Splitters, actually the first kill of the fight, but right now Orange Only fans with the resets here from the Jinx. Remember, this is the late game Jinx. You cannot forget about her, and she is tearing up this fight. It all started off with the rocket kill onto Guilty Free Soul, and they are going to be able to wipe the fight here. 4 dead. The only one alive is Phaser. They'll probably be able to pick up this Ocean Drake in 25 seconds because of it, and Phaser is just ignoring Ajuka here, able to knock down that last turret, trying to use the teleport to get out of this one, and does Ajuka have the damage to finish it off? No, he does not. Big brain teleport escape from Phaser, and despite losing the fight, able to crack open that last inhibitor tower in the base of Orange Only fans.
Yeah, Phaser is such a problem here. You can just walk in, deal so much damage. You have to be wary of the backdoor that could come through, and yeah, you called it. This is going to be the dragon to go over to Orange Only fans. They got the first 2, but let the next 3 slip. But finally, back on the board. Both these teams on Soul Point and, playing for it. Usually at this point, we are used to seeing an Elder at this 40-minute mark, but not in this game. Both these teams so equally matched, a 2k gold difference, and just, it could go either way. It's just depending on how these team fights take place. If you can peel for your Jinx, if you can, let the Phaser get to work, but if Phaser's going to be on that side lane, it's a great fight that you can take.
Oh, D-Mood has been found, though. by himself looking for vision and is going to drop here. Cyclone been used by Thrasher, and now they're a man up right now. So what will they do with this numbers advantage? Will the Sky Splitters look to get this final inhibitor down? It looks like that's going to be their case. They're pushing out the wave in top lane as Phaser ushers in the waves in the mid lane as well. They want to try and crash as many waves as they can at the same time into the base to try and make the members of Orange OnlyFans have to think, where do we defend if all of the waves are crashing at the same time? But now all that matters is defending their Nexus towers, because both inhibitors, the respawning one in the mid lane and that fresh one in the top side, have been taken down. So now we will see double super minions crashing into the base here against Orange OnlyFans, and that's going to make it near impossible to contest this Baron that is spawning in 10 seconds.
This Baron is going to be what pushes the needle for either of these teams. I'm sure just this, they feel comfortable. They feel like they can get onto this Baron. They can start just cutting it down, and Orange OnlyFans is not at all going to contest this. Their base is open, so they can't really do so. It's a good play coming out of Sky Splitters, and they just need to be so safe, right? You need to stay in base, but the push is going to come through. The Dragon is only up in 3 minutes, and you have a lot of time to play with, and that's the entire Baron buff. But what can you make happen here, Sky Splitters? You need to push into this base. You need to get some value, or maybe just like continue to keep Orange OnlyFans inside of that base, not let them push out, not get them any more value. As you take the rest of this rift, you get a little bit stronger, even though a majority of you are on on the cusp of getting these 6 items. I mean, Phaser's been on there for at least like 3 minutes, so the rest of you are so incredibly close.
They need to try and end the game here with this Baron. You don't want to give Orange OnlyFans any avenues back into the game. You have control because you have such immense pressure shuffling into the base with these super minions. So you want to use this Baron to start pushing in multiple waves at a time. These super minions are going to be very hard to deal with. The bottom inhibitor is spawned, so it's no longer a 3 inhibitor advantage right now for Sky Splitters. They're going to try and focus down that, or at least I think that is going to be their main objective here at the start of the siege. Phaser has been hit by the charm, will likely have to pop the Ragnarok and jump into the middle of everybody, but this doesn't look like the ideal engage. But there's so much damage that was just shuffled through in such a short amount of time, and in that amount of time Jhin was able to die. Jhin does drop, and that will be everyone from Orange OnlyFans down. I was expecting a slow, drawn out siege here, a very tense dance around the Nexus turrets, but in such a short moment as you believe that Phaser might be caught out, everyone on Orange OnlyFans just falls to dust in the matter of like a snap of the fingers. Just like Thanos, it's gone. Everyone is, not just half, everyone. Orange OnlyFans wiped off the map. Sky Splitters, they had a tough challenge. They are the top team in the league and remain the top team in the league. With this win, they will improve to 6-2 in the standings.
6-2, congratulations to Sky Splitters, playing an incredible game there. Especially, you know, once they figured it out later in the game, having Phaser deal so much damage and just cutting down Jhin. And that's what really slowed down the push, and just the winning condition for Orange OnlyFans is just shutting down Jhin, and Phaser was the perfect candidate to do so. And I mean, they kept winning fights that way. And they came back, they got so many objectives, and that was just incredibly well played. Orange OnlyFans having a pretty solid early game out of them, but just falling behind there in a little bit of those team fights, and just not being able to recover later into the game.
It's a game of inches, and the team that is able to coordinate better will come out on top. That time it was the Sky Splitters. This week we had 2 very close games. We started off with Beans versus Ape, and it was a valiant effort from Beans, although they fell to the might of Ape in the later stages of the game. And the same sort of thing here, except it was much closer this time around. 42-minute banger between Orange OnlyFans and Sky Splitters, but Sky Splitters maintain their position at the top. And that will do it for this week of Odyssey Season number 1. We have 1 more week to go before playoffs, so we'll be very excited to bring you guys that very soon, broadcasting those games and everything. But for now, my name is Ferris. That was Claire. joining me on the broadcast as well. Thank you so much to Drewbert on the production for making this stream possible. And shout out to everyone who was watching today, especially the watch party. Shout out you guys all together there watching the stream. And we'll see you in the next one for our final week of the regular season. Have a good one.